Hello, everyone, and welcome to Get Better, a show about two longtime friends trying their best, growing up, and hopefully getting better. I'm Zach Johnson.
And I'm Sam Cherry. How is it going, Zach?
I'm doing great. I don't have personally any beef or long extended thoughts about any 25, 30-year-old Disney movies, and so I'm doing great.
Wait a minute.
I don't know if maybe you have any of those that you'd like to get off your chest
I would not call it
we
beef.
start the show. I wouldn't call it beef either. I was just, a lot of thoughts. So for those that have yet to follow Sam on Instagram, it's at Sam Cherry Animation.
Thanks,
primarily good for Sam going through certain animation techniques and honing in his craft in a lot of different animation ways. Sam decided to put that to the side for a little bit.
Just for a day. For this glorious Wednesday afternoon, where Sam decided that it was high time that people started to give Hunchback of Notre Dame the respect it deserves. So for context for the listeners, frequent guest on the show, Nicole, and her friend Megan are doing a Disney bracket right now. They did a rom-com bracket I don't know, at the beginning of quarantine. Back when we were all like, this will be a fun thing for a month. And now it's November. So anyway, they were like, well, the butt clown cometh again. So I guess we're going to do an animation bracket. They were going to do a Disney bracket. And I had talked to Nicole about this before, and her and I had bullshitted about the seating and just talked about it. So I've been watching her live streams every week on Mondays when she does the bracket. It's Nicole Childress, for what it's worth, although I think it's a private account. She's just like a regular person, so I don't know if this...
That was I'd like that to be my Instagram name, Zach Johnson, for what it's worth.
Oh, yeah. No, well, I'm just saying, like, it feels like maybe there are listeners who would be like, oh, I'd want to watch this, but it's also like, I don't know, she's just like a regular person, so it's not like a media property, but at the same time, like, it is entertaining and fun to watch. So anyway, Nicole did the bracket. Hunchback of Notre Dame lost, and they were talking about it, and just the more they talked about it, the more I was like, man, I need to watch this movie again. So when they got off live, I went and watch Hunchback of Notre Dame. And I know that people hate it. Like, I understand that people don't like the movie.
I think that it kind of falls in this era of like, there's a lot of, I think Disney historians have given a title to that 1989 to like 1995, 96 era as the Disney Renaissance. And if it doesn't fall within that, then I think that people are just automatically inclined to think it's garbage. You know, like I see a lot of disrespect given to Hercules, which is, I think, an amazing movie with a banging soundtrack. The exact same with Tarzan, amazing movie, banging soundtrack. And because it doesn't fall in like the Aladdin or Lion King or Little Mermaid era, or not in that sort of like conversation, then it's like, oh, it's one of the bad ones.
Yeah, I mean, well,
and also this gives me to a thought that I'm gonna bring something up to you once you're done talking about Quasimodo.
No. So the thing is, and so I saw the movie, and I liked the movie. I mean, it's good, but I mean, the audience knows me. I have trash taste, and so I'm just like, yes, that was a media property. I enjoyed it. I think film school just totally wiped my brain of any actual like opinion. So I just like can only look at things critically as in terms of like the structure. And because I love movies, I just like all of them. I'm like, I understand what was happening there, and there's some interesting
1996.
stuff. 1996, yeah, it's the same year my wife was born. Anyway, so I saw the movie, and I kind of came away with like, oh, I liked this, but I get why people didn't like it. And for whatever reason, I decided to just make a really long story on Instagram about why I think people didn't like it, outside of just like it's sad.
which it is. But like there were some structural things I noticed that were like, oh, I think this is what people don't like about it. And then after I did that, I thought about it for a couple more hours just while I was at work. And I was like, okay, there's a whole part 2 to this for the other problems the movie has. But I don't want to do another like 20 slideshow explaining this. So I'll just film myself because like, you know, I do a podcast. I know how to talk.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, I'll just film myself and put that up there. So I made a 10-minute video of me explaining other structure, which everyone kept. It's so crazy because I have a show. Like we do this every week. We do an hour-long show. I probably talk for half of it. So like I do 30 minutes of talking about dumb bullshit, mostly cartoons, every week for the past like 3 years. Like I didn't think it was that weird to be like, it's 10 minutes. Like, yeah, I do the exact same thing on the show for 30 minutes every week. But anyway, it's a 10-minute video of me talking about it. And even at the end, I said, like, I'm only doing this here because I don't think this is something that would go in the podcast of me just explaining Quasi. And yet we're here. Yeah, well, yeah. After you watched it, you were like, can't wait to talk about this on the podcast. So maybe I didn't need to make any of it. But that's
this
the
one's
story.
This one's gonna be held on forever, you know, because the reels or whatever, I think they disappear, and it was also I think a story maybe, I don't know. I think it's gone forever.
The first half was a story, but the second half, because it was 10 minutes, they made it reels don't go away. They're just like they're regular posts.
Oh, okay. Well then check it out at Sam Cherry Animation.
Yeah, you can see that. I kind of summarize, and I even say in there, I'm like, I don't know if the story is going to go away. So like. So I just summarized the first half, even though it was all the same day. Like anyone that saw the second half saw the first half. But anyway, would you like me to explain the problems with, Hunchback of Notre Dame? Is that what we're doing?
I think it's interesting. And if you want to briefly sum it up, because there's another thing. I've been doing I had a distant memory about Disney movies that I went on to do some research in. And I don't have anything conclusive. It's just something I want to point at. But
okay, I'll give a short summary. Basically, if you haven't seen the movie in a while, I think the big problem with the movie is that it feels both rushed and it feels slow, which seems difficult to do. But I think the main reason is that almost the whole movie takes place at Notre Dame. And so in most Disney movies, they kind of go on an adventure. And, you see... they're in this confined... it has all the structures of a Disney movie, right? Like the overbearing parent who's keeping them in this confined world. Like that's just regular Disney. And then they want to get out of that world. But in most Disney movies, they leave and go have an adventure, learn and grow. And then that growth helps them overcome the villain. And then they can... and then they win and kiss the girl or whatever, or kiss the boy. So
you don't know why, but you're dying to try.
You're dying. Well, I said kiss the boy because a lot of them are princesses. Anyway, so the thing with Hunchback of Notre Dame is that they don't go on an adventure. Like and there's a perfect moment for him to do this thing, but he doesn't take it, and so he stays in Notre Dame for most of it. And so I think the reason it feels slow is because all the scenes kind of blend together because they're all happening in the same place, or Feast of Fools, which is a great scene and looks really different. Like the color palette is different. It like looks different than the rest of the movie. But it happens directly outside of it, outside of Notre Dame. But there's only like 2 or 3 sections that like I keep wanting to say visually look different. And so I think the effect is that it feels like one big long scene. And so it's like, God, we've been in this location forever. Like this is so slow because we're just still in Notre Dame, or we keep going back to Notre Dame. But then at the same time, when the movie ends, it feels like we just like rush to the ending because it feels like there's only like 3 or 4 scenes in the whole movie. And the times that they're not in Notre Dame are 1 to 2 minute scenes, which I think is really confusing. So the 2 main problems with the film are, number one, there's no adventure, which I think so that sorry. So what I just summarized was part one of what I said, which was like, I think people don't like the movie because it feels slow. And I think the reason it feels slow is because it's all in the same location. Part two was these other two problems with the film. Number one, there's not an adventure, which I'm not saying is a thing that Hunchback needs to do. But if I'm looking at why does it feel different from other Disney movies, I think that is what it is. Mm-hmm. So when he helps Esmeralda escape, she says, "Come with me to the Court of Miracles." And I think that's the opportunity that he should take if you were trying to make it a more traditional Disney movie. I'm not saying it needs to be, like I said, I liked the movie. Like, I think it's a good movie. But if you were trying to make it more traditional Disney or Disney Renaissance, that's what you would do, is he would go to the Court of Miracles, meet those people. And then that gets into the second thing that I think is an actual problem with the film, which is that they never overcome the central lie that the protagonist needs to overcome. Like, just film in general, but like if you look at all the Disney films, but just movies in general, like that is a lot of the plot, is there's a central lie that the main character needs to overcome and unlearn. And once they unlearn that lie, then that gives them the power to win the day. So the central lie in Hunchback is that the problems in Hunchback are, number two, Frollo controls everything he does, because number one, Quasimodo believes that society will never accept him. And so those two things are linked. Like, his issue is Frollo, but the reason that Frollo has power over him is because he believes that no one will ever accept him. Well, in the film, no one ever does until the last shot of the movie, and it's completely inexplicable.
Yes, you went into the thing about the little girl.
Yeah, so he kills I assume you guys have seen the movie, but like the good guy wins and the bad guy dies off screen, as with all Disney deaths.
Yeah.
So
yes.
he dies off screen in lava.
Yeah, good nice guy wins, bad nice guy loses.
Oh, the incel thing? Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we can make, I mean, I think that's, so I'll get into that. So he kills Frollo dies off screen and falls into lava. And then they walk out into the courtyard, and everybody
that famous Paris lava.
Yeah, I know, right? That's not in the next scene. And everybody, and it also goes from night to day. But anyway, so the courtyard is all like cheering for Quasimodo, and they're like, "Yeah, you're great." But the thing is, they didn't like see him do that, or we don't know that we saw him do that. We don't have any recognition that they know that he saved Esmeralda. And like literally the day before, they were throwing tomatoes at him because they thought he was a monster. So it doesn't really, it's not a big deal. I don't really think this is like huge, but it doesn't make sense why they. So my change was that while he's fighting Frollo, you have a shot of the crowd seeing him, just like a 2-second, like you see them be like, and just that. And so then when we see them later, because they're all mad at Frollo, like that reads. But then when they see him later, they know, and we know they know, oh, he killed Frollo. So they love him now. What were you going to say? You were going to say something else?
No, I mean, I haven't seen the movie in a long time, and I didn't get the read that they hated Frollo. You know, I thought that was like, you know, the Romanovs, or like the people that he is trying to oppress and destroy, like they hate him, but I didn't get the impression that everyone else hated him.
Yeah, well, the in the third act, there's like a riot where John Smith, who I'm just gonna call John Smith. I know he's not the guy from Pocahontas.
Yeah, you did call him John Smith. I don't know his fucking name.
He looks like John Smith.
That was really funny.
You know who I'm talking about. It doesn't matter.
Yeah. They borrowed the John Smith archetype and just pulled him over.
Well, they say his name like twice, and it's French, and I don't remember it. Maybe it's French. I honestly don't remember. Yeah. So anyway, John Smith like incites a riot and is like, I don't know, red pills all these people, and they're just like, yeah, actually, maybe Frollo is bad. And so they do in the last like minute of the movie. They're like, yeah, so they're rioting. That's why they're all out there. They're rioting and fighting the guards who are trying to take Notre Dame and get Esmeralda. So anyway, that's what. But anyway, I just need like a shot, and so the point being, the central lie of the film is that society will never accept him. Well, if you exclude the last minute, because it doesn't really make sense, Quasimodo, or it doesn't even matter if you do accept that one, because in the last scene, or in the climactic scene, he is chained up in Notre Dame, and he overcomes, and he, gets real mad with love and rips all the chains, and that's how he gets out. Well, this is obviously like the point in the film, because he's all sad, and then like his gargoyles like talk to him and give him a pep talk. Like in the film,
the gargoyles, one of which famously played by Jason Alexander. That's the only gargoyle I remember.
That's funny. This is the point where like the main in the story, like the main character needs to overcome the central lie so that he can, and this sounds corny, but this is what it is. Like he breaks both the physical and metaphorical chains that are holding him back. Like the chains are a metaphor, right? Like, because that's why he needs a pep talk to break them, because he has to overcome the central lie to free himself from Frollo's power, which is, in this metaphor, the chains that he's tied up in. I don't think this is pretentious. I think it's just like the only way to read what's happening.
Yeah.
I mean, it is like he's literally chained up, and then he gets a pep talk, and then he breaks the chains, and he's so anyway. So my problem with the film is that at no point before that does he ever actually encounter a society that doesn't want to fucking kill him immediately. Like everyone's trying to kill him right away because they think he's a monster, except Esmeralda, who accepts him as he is. And I understand that's doing the work of that in the movie. Like, well, if she could accept you, then obviously Frollo was lying, and that's how he breaks the chains. I understand that's what happens in the movie. Like, I'm not, I just think there's a better way to do that that's more clear, because he's in love with Esmeralda. So it's like, did he overcome the power of love? Did he overcome with the power of love?
Power of love.
But that's not undermining the central lie. I mean, it kind of is, but I just don't think it's as good. So the big change that I thought would help this is when Esmeralda says, "Come with me to the Court of Miracles." He does come with her, and that's where you have your adventure. But also he meets all of, did you say Romanovs? Is that what gypsies are called? They call them gypsies in the movies.
Yeah. They are now.
Okay. Well, anyway, they're called gypsies in the movie, but yeah, the Romanovs, and they go to the Court of Miracles, which is a real place. Turns out, it was like a refugee camp in France. It seemed way too specific to not be real, so I looked it up, and it was a real place. So he would go to the Court of Miracles and meet these people who would, instead of trying to hang him like they do in the movie, would accept him and love him. And that's where you have your fun characters, your wacky adventures, yada, yada, yada. And they would accept him because they, like him, are outcasts from the society and like personally persecuted by Frollo. Like, they would love him. In this story, there it undermines the central lie. He realizes that there is a society out there that would accept him, which means Frollo was lying to him, which means he no longer has power over him. And then basically the movie, and then John Smith gets hurt. Instead of taking him to Notre Dame, you take him to the Court of Miracles. You can have all your dynamics and all your shit there. And then Frollo,
maybe have a song a la the Freaks from The Greatest Showman. Get that whole train started a few decades early.
That's such a weird movie. And that's such a weird song and a weird scene in that weird movie. And then in the original, Frollo shows up to the Court of Miracles, arrests everybody, and we move into the climax. That all stays the same. Move from there. But basically, the big change is that he goes to the Court of Miracles to have his adventure. But more importantly, at least to me, is that he encounters a society that does accept him, so that he can overcome the central lie. The thing that you alluded to earlier, which I said in this video, was that the way that it is now, it's kind of the battle of the incels, because it's like, oh, well, Hunchback is good because he's an incel that loves Esmeralda in the right way, but Frollo is bad because he's an incel that loves Esmeralda in the wrong way. And so what did you, I think you texted this to me, is like two incels fight and she goes with the Chad. Who is John Smith, of course.
Two incels fight and she ends up with a Chad. Yeah,
which is what happens. I mean, But yeah, and as much as that's a joke, I actually kind of think that is like the problem is like he's breaking these chains because he loves Esmeralda. And yes, I guess part of the central lie is that no one will ever love him, but that's not really what Frollo keeps telling him. What he keeps telling him is society will not accept you, which is different, and they never really deal with that, which is fine. I just, again, liked the movie, but when watching it, I was trying to think about why don't people like this movie the way they like the other ones, and I think those are the structural differences. And it's sad, and the main character isn't attractive, which I think is important, right? Like that's an important detail. Like, it, you know, if Prince Eric was ugly, people wouldn't like Little Mermaid as much. It's just how it goes. And I think that's a valid, I don't know if it's a criticism, but like I understand why people don't like the movie as much. But I think there's also structural things that make it a less entertaining film. Scene.
Yes. So thank you for that. I am. This is a bonus script doctor, and it made me think of Quasimodo in a way that I had not originally thought of it. You know, like how you have to undo a central lie, and his is like it's a movie that, you know, they really could have nailed it by, like, you know, going to Community instead of like Finding Love, and that's kind of his central thing. But yeah, like.
Right.
In the end, they kind of like boof it.
And you could still have him again. The whole third act of the movie can be the same. Like the whole third act of him saving Esmeralda and you know, yelling sanctuary and all that kind of stuff, like that can all stay, because I understand there does need to be kind of a romance angle for these movies. Like I get that he needs to love Esmeralda. I just think falling in love was not the issue. And it was being accepted, and they just could have added more. I really think if the second act, instead of him going back to Notre Dame, if the second act had taken place in the Court of Miracles, it would totally change the movie in a really positive way. But yeah, he's still gonna love Esmeralda, and I get it. I mean, that's the movie. You know, it's a Disney movie. And again, I don't need every movie to be. I've said this plenty of times. Like every movie doesn't have to be Schindler's List. Like it doesn't have. You know, it can still be a silly, fun movie. I think that The Court of Miracles would make it a more fun movie, and also just more locations. Because in that big long post, I was like, for example, here's a couple scenes from The Lion King, and like within the first 30 minutes, there's like, you know, 6 different really visually distinct scenes and distinct like moments. And I think when you have all those different moments, you as the audience feel like you've gone on more of a journey because you've been to all these different places, even if they are 1 or 2 minutes. It doesn't need to be super long, but different visual locations make it feel like a longer journey. And so you feel like you've gone through more with the characters instead of Hunchback feels, and so it doesn't feel rushed. It feels earned, but also well paced because a lot of stuff happens. You have to stop me.
Okay, I just wanted yes, I love your. I just wanted you to have a platform to get that off your chest, because if anything, that's what the podcast is a platform to talk about Quasimodo and
I mean, what else are we gonna do?
Implications there, and I also do a bit of a bonus script doctor, so that's really fun.
A genuine one where I like a movie I like. I just like, here's how I would change it.
So now that we're talking about this is a thought I had a while ago. I recently watched Emperor's New Groove, which is great.
Yeah.
And I did not remember that most of that movie takes place in kind of like Peru or in a very distinct.
It all takes place in Peru.
Exactly. And I had completely forgotten about that. Like, to me, that was a movie where like there was a llama that was just kind of like zipping and bipping around, you know?
Okay.
And I had forgotten that that movie has like a very, like the backgrounds are very lush with this like South American feel. And it is just like, the landscapes are very well done, and it's all centered on this really silly action, but just like the animators worked really hard on that background. And then I was like, oh, that's kind of strange. Just like having this movie set in this country that is like, you know, not Anglo-Saxon or not like part of this like,
like the more popular ones, like The Little Mermaid, which is in some
England?
like European country.
Yeah.
And then pretty soon thereafter, I watched Lilo and Stitch, a movie that
Yeah.
I had somehow forgotten took place in Hawaii.
Man,
And
it's so weird because those are so. I just like Emperor's New Groove he's Incan, like it's very Peruvian, and Lilo
Yeah.
and Stitch is so Hawaiian. Like that's
Yes.
a huge part of the plot.
I think it was just something I just like kind of forgotten about. Just I remember Stitch.
That's
I
funny.
remember them surfing, and I was just like, oh, this is in Hawaii, and that movie is super Hawaiian.
Yeah, incredibly
like,
Hawaiian.
It is incredibly Hawaiian. Even like the backgrounds are like watercolor. It is like this really and like they go this extra mile to like really put in this like Hawaiian feel where, you know, they have Hawaiian music makers, they have Hawaiian artists, they have like this whole like that is definitely the focus of the movie.
Yeah.
And then I was like just thinking more about this. And then I remember the movie Brother Bear.
The
Do you
Alaskan
remember-
one.
Yes, the one that takes place, it is like another sort of like not necessarily Native American, but like indigenous to that region movie.
Yeah, I did not
And-
see that one because it looked boring. I
So,
don't like animal
Brother Bear
movies,
is about
really.
this guy that turns into a bear,
Right.
and he befriends a smaller bear,
His
Brother Bear.
Brother Bear.
And yeah, it is incredibly it's very Alaskan, and that is or like very like Canadian, that region. And I was like, oh, that's really interesting. And then also Atlantis,
I love
which-
Atlantis.
which also makes reference to indigenous people groups. And I was like, what a bizarro time that like, you know, like, cause there is, you know, your Pocahontas and like even maybe to some degree Mulan. But like
Sure.
Disney movies, like most of their like really big time heavy hitters, like take place in these like, you know, Anglo-Saxon sort of worlds. And that's the ones that get the most money and they get the most press. And
Well, they come
yeah,
from
like-
a lot of like Anglo-Saxon fairy tales as well. Like, I mean, a lot
Exactly.
of Disney
Yeah.
canon. Yeah.
yeah. And I had just like completely forgotten that there was this era. And then I looked up what era it was because I knew the one was called the Renaissance.
Yeah,
And
Disney Renaissance.
the one where all the ones that I just referenced are from the post-Renaissance,
Right.
which is like, I just wanted to bring that up as like some bullshit.
The bad
That-
naming convention. Yeah.
Yeah, well, it's a bad naming convention. And also, it's just like this is the one where like, you know, Disney kind of started losing their step, and then they have the revival, and the revival
Right.
starts off with
Frozen.
Tangled,
Oh, right. Tangled.
which is
yeah.
like them getting back into like that sort of mantra where it's just like they're just making money hand over fist.
Yeah.
Yeah, like it was like, I don't know if this is like a me against the Disney fandom or me just like giving props to Disney, but just like holding up these movies where they try to be like culturally like sensitive and they're just holding them up like, do you want this? Is this good? And everyone's like, no, like,
No.
give us Little Mermaid again. And then like that kind of gets now into like this Disney era of like just reviving old stuff from like the Disney Renaissance, because it's like, you guys liked this, I guess.
Yeah.
And like some of these movies that are, you know, more like you're never going to see a live action remake of Brother Bear or, you know, or
Here's hoping.
Atlantis. Yeah, I think they're doing a live action Lilo and Stitch.
Sucks.
That
I
does suck.
hate the live action movies so much.
Yeah, they're really not good, and also
They're-
just, you know, but like, you know, we're adults, so they're not for us, and to be upset by them is to like, all right, listen, you guys got to make your money, like, you know,
No,
whatever.
well, that's the thing of like Disney makes a lot of good stuff, and it's just part of the churn. I mean, also all of those, because that's the other thing is all those Disney Renaissance movies. Disney then immediately turned around and was like, "Yeah, we should make straight to VHS sequels that are fucking garbage." And it was like, okay, like it's not new, like it's really not a surprising thing for them to do.
yeah,
I just hate it every time. Like I just don't like it. But I think if anyone was making original movies, I wouldn't have as big a problem with it. I don't know why. I think the Lion King one. Well, you know what it is.
what?
It's because I'm an animator. Everyone
Mm.
asks if I'm gonna go watch it. They're like, "Oh, the new," because I like Disney movies, and so it's like, "Oh, are you gonna watch the the Mulan movie, it's like, no, I'm not gonna watch the fucking movie. First of all, it's not animated. So like the main thing that I like about Mulan, I mean, I like the movie Mulan, like it's a good movie, but you know what I mean? Like, no, I'm not gonna pay $30 to watch it on Disney Plus, and it's just like an action movie.
It's like see the same thing that I've already seen.
But I think the Lion King one specifically is the one that's the most egregious because I think they're kind of just insulting, and usually this doesn't get under my skin, but I think the fact that most of them are like, or Lion King is a shot for shot remake.
Mm-hmm.
It's this insulting thing about animation where people are like, it's like a tiered system where photorealism that's better than 2D. Like 3D is better than 2D, and live action is better than, that's what a real movie is, live action, right? So like,
I don't agree with that at all, and I think that's really like really that does not seem like something you would ever think. But I mean, if that's what you believe, that was just kind of, I just did not expect that at all.
My official stamp, yeah. But that's the thing is like, that's how people treat these movies, is that like, oh, well, yeah, you did the little bullshit kiddie version of Aladdin, but now we're going to make it a real movie. And it's like, well, this is worse. Like it's so obviously worse when you just even think of the concept, like watch 5 minutes of those movies. And it's like, why would this be better if they couldn't squash and stretch? Like, what about this do you think needs stiff human meatbags doing the acting? Like, why would that be?
And also Will Smith, you know, he's not stiff at all, man. He's not, but he is dynamite, man.
But that's what I'm saying. Is like, you look at like, I was thinking about this. What was I watching? I watched Fox and the Hound the other day, like yesterday. And I watched, not Fox and the Hound, the Aristocats. And there's a scene where the butler is like trying to get his hat back from some dogs or some shit. It's a really long scene that's pretty boring. It's like the most boring part of the movie. So I was kind of zoning out because it takes fucking forever. And anyway, at one point, he's in his little like scooter car, and there's a big bale of hay on top of it, and it's flying down the road, and he's in the haystack, and also the two dogs. And then at one point, there's like, you know, and then they're like hanging off on one foot, like off the side of it, like, whoa. And like the dogs, you know, whatever. It's all this stuff that's like stacking on top of each other.
Mm-hmm.
And I just thought like, the Aristocats is not famous enough that they're going to make a live action remake, but it's like, this joke only makes sense in animation.
Yeah.
Like you could do it in like CGI and green screen, but there's something about real people doing it that is ridiculous, that you're just like, this is weird. Like, people can't do that. But when it's a cartoon, you don't think about it, and it's just fun. And the same is true with like all this shit, like a talking lion. Like when it's a cartoon, you don't even think about it. It's like, oh, that's fun. But then it's like, well, what if we made it look like a real ass lion? I'd be like, that wouldn't be good. Like, what do you think? And again, I know it's just a cynical cash grab, and that's fine. They get to make lots of cool movies. And then they'll do a cynical cash grab. The reason they had a Disney Renaissance is because the era before it was the Dark Ages. Like, they put out some garbage. And they've done it plenty of times, and they'll do it again.
Some of this garbage. Oh, Aristocats isn't that garbage.
Yeah, I know.
Oliver and Company. Oh,
Jungle
man,
Book.
I love Oliver and Company.
I think more, where is, The Adventure of Mr. Toad. Where's Sword in the Stone?
Oh, The Adventures of Mr. Toad.
He is a gambler that goes to hell or something. It's really ridiculous. I'm thinking more, where is Sword in the Stone and the Black Cauldron? Those are like the two worst ones. Oh, Sword in the Stone is right after 101 Dalmatians. No, Black Cauldron is the one where it's after Fox and the Hound. Yeah, this period right here. Because Little Mermaid is what brought it back. So, yeah, Aristocats, I guess.
Yeah, I'm totally gone off of The Adventures of Mr. Toad. So that's kind of my whole thing right now.
Okay, well, starting between Robin Hood and Oliver and Company is like the movies that didn't make any money and everyone hates. I think people like the Rescuers, but that's the Disney Dark Ages. And when the Black Cauldron came out, like they thought they were gonna like bankrupt the studio. They were like, we're fucked. Like we can't. And then because these movies are made in stages. They were already making The Little Mermaid when that movie came out, and they finished out Little Mermaid, and it was The Little Mermaid and blew everyone's mind, and then then they got to be Disney again.
Mm-hmm. But it's okay because, Oliver and Company saved the day. That was the last.
Nope.
That was the last
Opposite what
holdout.
I'm
That was
saying.
the last thing for the Little Mermaid. They were just like, listen, we just need one more year. And Oliver and Company was like, I got you.
Well, no, that's why I'm saying that because
What do I
it's like
worry? Man, that movie is sick.
it's like, well, wait a minute. If they almost went bankrupt in Black Cauldron and then Oliver and Company, which also didn't make any money, how did they keep going? Well, because those movies were in production already.
Mm.
I believe. I'm pretty sure. And so they were probably already making Little Mermaid when, they were totally fucked with the Black Cauldron. Oh, also The Great
Mhm.
Mouse Detective. Yeah, that movie bombed too. Everyone hated it.
Yeah, it's really important that Billy Joel is the main character in Oliver and Company. That's like the most important thing to
Is
me,
it
and that's
really?
like the fact that I bring up all the time. Yeah,
That's fucking wild.
yeah.
Anyway,
it's
Just some Disney history.
yeah. So I'm gonna before we move on, I just want to blow your mind for just one more thing that I saw today that it was so upsetting to me that I just had to tell you about, and that
Okay.
is, did you know that they're doing a Tom and Jerry movie?
Ugh. No.
They're doing a Tom and Jerry movie. I'm gonna go ahead and look that up.
Sucks.
It is a Tom and Jerry movie where, you guessed it, Tom and Jerry are the only two things animated, and everyone else is
Sucks.
live action.
Oh, you mean like the smash hit, the Smurfs, where they did that as well? And
Yes.
Smurfs 2, the Smurfing? Yeah.
When are we gonna? And this is like
Never.
I think,
We're never going to
I
learn. It
think
doesn't
that
matter.
this is like the zenith of animation. Where you said live action is the best of animation. No.
Yeah, exactly. yeah.
Cartoon characters on top of film. That is the only true way to do animation. That is the only way that Lion King would have made sense and been better was if some of them were cartoons. Timon and Pumbaa were cartoons.
That
The
would
rest
be
of them
great.
were like actual lions.
That would be great. It's like we've got these like hyper realistic 3D lions, and then like Timon and Pumbaa are exactly the same. I mean, it's a shot for shot remake, so you could just have the old footage, just cut them out,
just zip 'em right in
rotoscope
there.
Timon and Pumbaa in there, and just put a real ass lion.
So I
that
watched the
sucks.
trailer. I watched the trailer for this today, and it
All
is
right, I'll do it now.
it is so horrible.
Tom and
It
Jerry
is-
2020. Fuck, that's what this year needs.
Yeah.
Oh
yeah.
no, they're three. I guess I should have assumed they were 3D.
Yeah, of course they're 3D, and like they're colored in that weird way. The shading is all off.
Sucks, dude. I hate that. We could get into like. I'm usually pretty positive, I think, about animation on this. Oh my god, this looks so bad. Like even the film looks bad. Like
yeah.
it's like not shot on a good camera. Like,
And they
washed
and-
out.
and brother, there's some names in this, my man.
Who the fuck made this?
There's some we
Oh,
got
it's cell
Chloe
shaded.
Grace Moretz,
Ugh,
we got
that's
Michael
cell
Pena, we got Colin Jost, Kin Jong. We got some friggin' names here, brother.
I said cell shaded. I need people to know that that's not what cell shading is. But it's that weird where it's 3D, but it's. Oh no, there's other animated stuff in here, but all the animals are animated.
Yeah, it's all the animals. You're gonna meet some elephants in just a moment. and
I saw
they're-
them. Yeah, I'm past
Okay,
that.
yeah. They're animated. Yeah, don't you worry
Oh.
about that. All the animals are animated.
So what's weird about this is not like the Smurfs where they try to be as close as possible to be like that the Smurfs are in the movie. The
Mhm.
Smurfs are in the world, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
this is just a full ass cartoon.
Yeah,
It's almost more like Roger Rabbit.
They're a full ass cartoon interacting with people, and like there's a section in the movie or in the trailer rather where Chloe Grace Moretz is like,
Yeah.
"Oh, it's like we're not going to hire an exterminator to get this mouse. I'm going to get a cat," and she goes and finds Tom.
Right.
Presumably, all cats look like that.
I was gonna say like are all because the elephants are that way too. Like are
exactly.
all,
Yeah.
This sucks so bad. I was gonna say this earlier, and then I kind of answered my own question, but like I want to ask these people when they come up. Oh, good, there's a drone. When they come up with these
Yeah,
ideas, like
obviously.
name one.
Also, I don't know if you saw, but there's a section where Tom is skateboarding.
yeah.
That's rad as hell, brother. That is cool
100%.
as shit.
Yeah, that is cool as shit. Name one time this was good. Like when they're pitching, like, oh, and then we'll make it, but it'll be regular. Like, what was the one? Like, when has this ever been good?
I was thinking about this, and
But it's
I'm
Roger
thinking,
Rabbit.
It's Roger Rabbit.
That is the only time
Yeah.
that they did this, and it was like, oh, this is cool. This and like,
But
I
it was
think-
completely different because they lived in Toontown. Like they literally like made reference to the fact that they are cartoons in a cartoon world. Like that was the whole fucking movie.
Yeah, and like it is,
That
but
was
like
an
the way
abomination.
that everything is, like the way that like this movie was like 1989 or like 1988, something like that. Maybe not, maybe even earlier. And the way that
yeah.
the humans are interacting with the cartoons is so seamless, and
Oh,
the fact that they
the behind the scenes footage for that movie is unbelievable because the stuff they had to do to make where there's stuff where like cartoons are like pouring water and the water is really real and they didn't have like simulations. Like there's so much like Rube Goldberg machines that they painted out to make all the props move whenever the characters would interact with them. It's really cool.
Yeah, so like there's just like I think it was the only time that they just like absolutely nailed it. And I think that maybe it's, and even like as early like last year when they did the Sonic the Hedgehog movie,
Oh my god.
it's the same general sort of thing where it's like, hey, what's up guys? I'm Sonic, but I'm in the real world. It's like just make a movie. Just like make a movie set in that universe. Like
that's more like Ninja Turtles.
Like you never see like when they make a Spider-Man movie or another one, it's like it's not them coming into our world, you know?
Right,
Like,
yeah.
It's like not them as a
I see what you're
cartoon
saying.
coming into our world. It's like you show them their world.
Right.
And like anytime it's like a movie, it's just a long form, whatever world they live in. Like I remember very fondly, there is a Winnie the Pooh movie that probably came out like 10 years ago or so.
Yeah.
And it's great. It's because it takes place in that world. It's done like the animation of the old cartoon, and it's just a long form story that takes place in that world, animated like that world. It's great. Stop bringing them into our world. Stop it. Stop bringing the Smurfs here. Stop bringing Tom and Jerry. Stop bringing Sonic. We like them. We like them in their place.
That's the thing I like about them.
Why the hell do we want them in our business? It's like I see it so much where, you know, they come into our world and it's like you have just gotten rid of the like.
That's the thing we liked about it.
Yeah, that's the thing we
liked.
That's
what we liked was
like
it was a cartoon.
It's like, yeah, we liked the setting that this thing was in. And if you bring them to us, it's like, oh, you have just strictly limited, like,
right. Well, and the specific
like more
thing
than half of their, because we didn't. It's like, hey, we actually don't like this cat and mouse that much.
Yeah,
like it's not these two animals that we like care about so much. It's the world they live in and how like they can get into all these little misadventures because that's just the rules of their universe.
Exactly. If you bring them into our world where everything is like stiff and human, it's like, why would I like that better? Because they're gonna act in these really like crazy squash and stretch ways, like you saw in that trailer, but nobody else can or does. And also, like, are all cats like this? Are they confused? I mean, I'm glad they didn't give them like photorealistic hair, because also they couldn't because like Jerry does not look like a mouse. Like Jerry looks like a cartoon mouse. Like he doesn't look like a mouse, and Tom kind of doesn't look like a cat. I mean, no, Tom doesn't look like a cat either. Like it's just not what they look like. So like if you made them a cat and mouse, it would be ridiculous. But just don't make them. You could have the exact same movie, all of it the same. Just make all of the people also cartoons. Make them cartoons too, and then you have them come to New York or fucking whatever. But like, I don't know, because I don't know. I don't need to explain. So, but often what the sentiment from the animation world is when this kind of stuff happens is like, it's plainly that it's like, oh, we're gonna make it live action or we're gonna make it real. It's like what I liked was the cartoon part. That's why I like it. Like the rules of a cartoon world are what is fun and funny about this franchise. Like again, everything doesn't have to be everything. If I want to watch a realistic movie, I'll just go watch a different movie. Like I don't need this. Just have it be Trolls or whatever, where it's Trolls in the troll world. But no, Smurfs, they're like, now we're going to put Smurfs in Neil Patrick Harris and they're going to play guitar. And it's like, why? Why would I want that? It's not Neil Patrick Harris interacting with humans, and it's not the Smurfs in cartoons. Why would I want that? Stupid.
I think another one of these movies that it just must have been so popular, and it's not good, but it's so popular that it just probably just kept this trend going, was Space Jam.
Yeah.
But like
Oh,
Space Jam is
yeah.
the thing where like it's like it can't,
Yeah,
there has
okay,
to be,
sure.
because Space Jam is like Roger Rabbit in that it is, all the characters know that it's a cartoon. You know,
They go to the Toon World, yeah.
They go to the Toon World. Michael Jordan knows it's Bugs Bunny. Everyone is on the same page. Like everyone's like, these are cartoons. I'm like, this whole situation is predicated on how silly it is that these are cartoons.
Well, and the difference
Whereas,
is
like,
that they go to the cartoon world instead of the cartoons coming to the real world and being weird facsimiles of themselves. Like it's
they
just
do
Bugs
that
Bunny
on
drawn,
a very few times in the movie, but yes.
but like Bugs Bunny is drawn like Bugs Bunny. They didn't like give him
Mhm.
3D shape. I think that's the problem
Yeah.
is when they make the 2D.
I'm trying to think of
3D.
like when this really started popping off, and it might have honestly been because I'm looking at a list of movies called "Movies with Cartoon Characters in the Real World," and this person it's on IMDb, and this person
the
has
top
made
comment is it's not a sex thing. Stop asking.
This person has made 2 lists, and the other one is films everyone likes, but I don't. And it just has 1 movie, and it's Fantastic Mr. Fox.
Films everyone likes that so he doesn't like Fantastic Mr. Fox.
Yeah, but he's just like, everyone
Cool.
likes this, but I don't. Which
What
is
a
just
weird
just a weird energy to have.
Well, and if you flipped it around, it would be such a less weird energy if it was like films that nobody liked but I really love. Like that's like a much more fun energy than just be like, everyone likes this thing, but even though I know everyone's going to disagree, I think the thing you like is stupid.
And it's just like he must have
What a
just
bad
gotten into a
energy.
really difficult conversation about everyone at the party liking Fantastic Mr. Fox, and he's ran his computer was like, this is bullshit.
Right, which is hard because it was the only party he was ever invited to. And they never invited him back.
Exactly. And they were like, the host was like, hey man, I'm really going out on a limb for you here.
Please don't fuck this up for me.
Yeah. Fuck this up for you. But I
true.
think so. I'm looking at a bunch of these movies that is, made by a guy that doesn't like Fantastic Mr. Fox. So like, why do I
Who
care?
cares?
And I think this kind of all started with like Scooby-Doo in 2002, because Scooby-Doo is Scooby-Doo, and he's animated like he's like a.
So maybe they're not as bad as I think.
He is the best that 2002 could do for this style of animation, and they just shoved him into this movie.
So maybe Smurfs is just a shitty movie. Maybe it's not the thing. Maybe
I'm thinking that every single time they do a movie like this, where they bring the fucking chipmunks into our reality, it's just bad. It's just not
But
good.
is it because it's a bad movie or because it's a bad idea?
I think
Because Scooby-Doo was a fine movie.
Maybe need to revisit Scooby-Doo.
Yeah, probably.
But I think maybe it's just a bad idea, because like, even so, thinking about that, one thing that I noticed when I saw Pokemon Detective Pikachu,
Sure,
everyone was really on to how that was a really great movie and like a really great Pokemon movie, and I was like, boy, oh boy, do I hate this.
Oh, really?
Yes.
I didn't watch it.
So they're animating, and you can just go ahead and look at it. Like, go ahead and just look at the animation of the Pokemon, and it is just unsettling. I think it looked better in my imagination because when I saw them, I wasn't imagining what they would look like if they were actually in front of me, because I knew that they were a cartoon character.
Yeah,
and I liked them in the context of that world. And then when you bring them into our world with all your weird shading and like very cutesy anime sort of like sensibilities, and it's like, this doesn't work because like they can't emote, they can't, and they just look weird. No animal looks like this, so I didn't have a context for what I can base this off of.
Right.
And like giving them that sort of like texture and shading just like really made it just off-putting. And I think a lot of people were just like, this is actually pretty good. It's like, I don't know about that.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, Snorlax having fur is not something I ever really thought about, but it doesn't really bother me, I guess. He's got a lot. I'm looking at, there's just like a lot in this hair simulation. Like there's just a lot of obvious fur.
Yeah. I think like
I don't know.
I was a huge Pokemon fan growing up, and I think just seeing them in this like in this world, I was just like, hey man, no one asked for this. Like I was fine with Pokemon the movie, and by I was fine with Pokemon the movie, I mean like it was pretty bad, but I was a kid, so it was fine.
The one with Mewtwo?
Yeah, it's not that good.
You know, they remade that shot for shot as well in 2D.
Yeah.
Okay, now
Yes.
see, as much as I just complained about all that shit, and complained about like a 3D shot for shot remake, a weirder thing to do is a 2D shot for shot remake of a 2D movie. Because it's like, you didn't trace it, but like, you just traced the movie. Like,
You just turn in
it's the
some other
same
guys'
shots with the same characters in the same style. Why did you do this?
work.
I mean, I know why. That's the thing. It's like, you know why? I was like, oh, well, because it, a lot of, and I realized this when I was in school, but like, I don't know, you sort of know, there's a lot of like make work programs for film people, basically, where it's just like, look, we're going to make this movie. We're all going to get paid to work on it. We're all going to get paid to do it. We know it isn't any good. No one cares. And literally everyone's going to make money except for the rubes who buy a $12 ticket and go see it. And you know what? They don't really give a shit either. So like, let's just do it. And like, that's how there's so many, I think, bad movies. Is a lot of the film industry is like, that's just the grease to keep the machine running. Is like, look, we just got to put some of this shit out, and it doesn't matter. Like, just make it. Like, stand here, hold this light here, cinematographer, go do your thing. Director, this movie's garbage, but like, fucking do it. I'm gonna write you a check. You're gonna pay your mortgage, and we're gonna put this thing out. And nobody's hurt by it. Like, it doesn't matter. The actors got work, the crew got work, you got work, the producers got work, the distributor got work. We all got paid. And
then you made transmorgers.
Transmorgers, or like Paul Blart or whatever, where it's like, this movie sucks, but who cares? Like, what is the harm being done that we all got paid making a bad movie that some, couple in, Minneapolis made out during? Like, who cares? They don't care. They don't give a shit that this movie isn't good. It doesn't matter. So like, and the same with The Lion King, the live action one. It's like, it's stupid that it exists, but at the same time, like, a lot of people got a lot of work and made a bunch of money.
Yeah, it truly made a lot of money.
There are some people, it's the highest grossing film they've ever made.
That's
And
true. The second highest grossing movie is
liked it.
Frozen 2. Frozen 2 made more money than Frozen 1. That's wild to me. They're going to keep making those until the end of time, huh?
Yeah, and that's the thing is, like, as irritating it is from like an artistic point of view, it's also like, like, fucking like, who cares? You know what I'm saying? Like, well, yeah, but also like, and that's why I say this stuff doesn't usually bother me that much, because at the end of the day, it's like, what's it matter? Everyone got paid, and they all got to keep doing their job, and then they do go make the good thing, right? Like, those straight to VHS sequels from all the Disney Renaissance movies are how they kept the studio running so they could make, Frozen and Tangled and Moana.
Yeah, it's like how, like Fox movies helped fund Fox Searchlight, which brought out a lot of like really fun indie movies.
Yeah, exactly. And a lot of directors do this. You see it where they'll like or actors will make a bunch of shitty films that pay super well, and then they can go fund their art house movie that's actually good.
Nicolas Cage
or Adam Sandler
friend of the show.
You know what I mean? So it's stuff like this where it's like, yeah, those movies suck, but those movies help the good movies exist. And I guess I would like a world where that wasn't the case. But at the end of the day, I got bigger fucking problems than like a movie was bad.
It's I think Adam Sandler kind of has it figured out, because he's making shitty movies, but he gets to go on a vacation with all of his friends. So,
well, like Grown Ups and Grown Ups 2 suck, but then he also made Uncut Gems, which rules. So it's like, yeah, okay. All I have to do is not watch Grown Ups, and I do watch Uncut Gems. So actually, I got a great deal out of this. I didn't have to watch those shitty movies. I didn't have to make those shitty movies.
And I got benefited from it. Yeah.
So like, oh well, you know what I mean? Like, they made all these live action remakes that I think are stupid. But that's funding their next movie coming out, Raya and the Last Dragon, which looks fucking rad. That movie looks so cool. And so it's like, yeah, I guess I don't really give a shit that they did. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
I don't know.
Yeah,
I feel like I'm giving you a lot of mixed messages.
No, I mean, I think that's exactly the correct response to have, which is like like you have to do something that pays the bills, and
Yeah.
like you don't have to watch it, and like you don't have to.
Right.
You know,
If
like,
you're too
have
smart for
this
this
really
movie,
we-
don't
like-
watch it.
Like being an actor isn't like being a baseball player where it's like your
Right.
entire career is going to be like negatively impacted by like a bad year or a bad movie, you know?
Yeah.
Like it's like no one's competing for greatest actor of all time. You know, there is no Actors Hall of Fame. Or maybe there is, but
Well, there's
whatever.
Best Picture and Best Leading Actor, but
Yeah, I know, but like there's no one that is Adam Sandler, you know, he's the kind of guy that gets a lot of flack because he's in so many bad movies. But he's like, you don't have to watch those, man. Like you can just watch like Uncut Gems or
yeah, he's also getting
What-
paid. Like he's
Exactly.
getting paid so much money, and there's people out there that like grown-ups. I mean,
Mhm.
what if you're a fucking snob who, you know, looks down on people, then whatever. But like, I don't know, Jack and Jill is stupid, but I haven't seen Jack and Jill. But Punch
Yeah,
Drunk
I know.
Love is good. So why do I care that Jack and Jill
So-
exist? I haven't seen
so
it. It
I
looks
win.
stupid. Yeah, I
Yeah.
win, and the movie gets to exist. So like, why the fuck would I care?
And again, somebody is raising his entire team up, which includes like, you know, a lot of people that need work. So yeah, fucking whatever.
Right, we all
They-
gotta get paid. Well,
they
and
get
that's
to
the
go
thing
to
is, like,
Hawaii. I don't care.
I haven't seen any of the live action Disney movies because I thought it was stupid and I didn't like it. I'm gonna go see Raya and the Last Dragon. And that's just how it goes. You know what I mean? Like, I don't give. You know. So I don't know. I'm going on.
Maybe we're going to see Ryan the Last Dragon. Who knows?
It's really funny. So today, maybe this is why I'm in such a grouchy mood about animation. But today at lunch, so I've talked to you about Drawfee, the
Mhm.
YouTube channel. Love
Yes, yes,
Drawfee.
yes.
Huge fan. They have a Patreon. Everyone should go support them. They are very cool. Anyway, so their videos come out Tuesday and Thursday, and they come out at noon. I've just noticed this because that's usually when I take lunch. Well, I took lunch at 11:30, and I was just like, oh, well, shit. Drawfee doesn't come out for another 30 minutes. I got to watch something else. So I clicked on one of those like trailer compilations. There were like all the new upcoming animated films.
Mm-hmm. And you saw Tom and Jerry.
I didn't. That wasn't on there. Well, it's funny because they were all movies that like, well, and then the last two was like a Ghostbusters reboot and Jungle Cruise, which are not animated at all. Like neither movie is animated at
Scraping
all.
the bottom of the barrel.
Yeah, it was just the end of the video, and I think they needed to pad time, so they just like threw two other movie trailers in there. But oh man, a lot of them are fucking garbage. Like the Croods. It looks
Crudes.
The Crudes. Sorry, haven't seen it. Looks terrible. And I was just like getting.
Friend of the show, Nick Cage is in that.
I bet. And there's also a Peter Rabbit sequel. What else is on? There's a monster fight movie that looks like garbage. It was just like so. It was like a Romeo and Juliet quality, where it's just like this sucks. But again, like back to what I just said, where it's like, yeah, DreamWorks is making the Croods. What is it?
Crudes.
The Crudes. But also DreamWorks makes Kipo, which I just started watching on Netflix. That show fucking rules. Like Kipo is so good. I love Kipo. Like it is such an amazing show. I should have watched that instead of those trailers. But I just started Kipo as my my lunchtime show when I'm not watching Drawfee, and it's awesome. It's amazing. It's made by DreamWorks. Well, you know what? If you got to make the Croods to the
The
I don't know
Crods.
why I can't
Sure,
remember
yeah.
this.
Yeah, dude, just call it the Crods.
I'm not doing a bit at all, I promise. If you gotta make the Crudes to
Crods.
whatever. The Crods and Crods 2, the you know,
Crods 2,
The
2D.
the meltdown, yeah. So that I can watch Kipo? Wicked. I'm not gonna watch the Crods. I'm gonna watch Kipo. So I guess I don't give a shit. But I think it put me in kind of a foul mood with
Mhm.
animation in general, because all of the trailers looked, other than Raya, all of the trailers looked so atrociously bad, and I was just mad.
Man, I can't wait to see the Crudes.
It looks so shitty,
Dude, it's coming out. Dude, oh my gosh, it's coming out really soon. It's coming out in 6 days.
Oh, really? It looks.
Oh,
like-
hell yeah, brother. Dude, can't wait to do a review of the Crudes next week. I'm gonna have to go to a theater to watch this. I'm gonna have to risk family and country.
invite
to
all your
see-
friends and
to
family
see-
and old people.
There's
you know?
there's a deal that's actually really sad, but there's a deal at this theater that's near my house where if you pay $100, you get to watch whatever movie you want, and you can have the whole place to yourself. And
yeah, you know what? Actually, we've heard of that too, because some people would rent it out for like a birthday party. We haven't been there.
yeah. Yeah. So I'm gonna do that, and it's you. We're gonna join
Just
the offices
you.
together. We're gonna do a live review of the
Oh.
Croods. Dude,
That
can't
would be
wait.
really funny. I hate when animated films will make sort of like, and I guess Trolls notwithstanding, because like, I don't know, but when animated films will make contemporary references, like they make references to, I think it's just part of this whole Ouroboros of culture where like everyone in Gen X is like, the movies that came out when I was a teenager are the only movies, and they're the movies that exist, and that's all we can make. And so this isn't even a Gen X thing, but in this monster fight movie, they're training a monster, and then they're like, I know how to get your strength up, and they start playing The Time of My Life from Dirty Dancing, and then another monster comes out, and he has to do the thing where he picks her up. You know what I'm talking about?
No, I have no. I mean, I know what you're talking about in terms of Dirty Dancing, but I do not know where these two thoughts are connecting.
Well, anyway, it's just annoying because it's like, hey, kids don't know Dirty Dancing. And also,
oh, yeah, I got
make a second thing. I think that's just always my bit with this. Is like, just do a second thing. Like, just think of like, it doesn't everything. Well, and then, of course, at the end of all these trailers.
And it's like, that moment that in Dirty Dancing, we're going on too long. That moment in Dirty Dancing wasn't iconic when they were shooting it. Like, you know, they just like threw some spaghetti at the wall and to see what stuck. And then that has happened to catch on. And it's like, tight, we did the thing.
Which is fine. Like, but everything.
Like, oh, shit, Sam. Oh, no.
Have you not been recording?
We wrote Ready Player One again.
Fuck.
We did, man.
Every time.
Oh my gosh, we did it. We really did it.
And then Iron Giant shoots his gun.
Oh no. We were talking about the thing in the monsters and they do Dirty Dancing. Oh shit, we just did Ready Player One again. Well, anyway, that's our show. Thank you all so much for coming to Get Better. If you would like to follow us, you can find us on Instagram at Get Better Podcast. That's get_better_podcast. And you can also reach us at meetthefockers2, fockedup@gmail.com.
All right.
All right.
See you bye forever.
See you bye forever.